Okay,
Okay.
okay. So we are back and we have Ms. Shunda Dean, the Chief Probation Officer, as well as Yohance Benton, who's a Principal Probation Officer. And they just spoke with us and gave us some great information about the services and the different organizations that DeKalb County Juvenile Court System is working with in order to help restore the lives of the youth. And now, some of these services, we discussed them, what you all offer, but I'm wondering which of these services or other programs that you all offer help to assist and support STEM education.
I guess we could start with the commitment alternative program, Yohance, a little bit, because that particular population is on probation, and it could be for serious felony charges. But to we tend to work with them on probation versus committing them, meaning committed them to the Department of Juvenile Justice, whether it be 2 years or up to 5 years. The objective in that is to come up with a case plan, whether it's like homeschool community, all encompass of what can we do to meet the needs of these families. So we're looking at it from every angle, with the family, the siblings, and everybody. Education wise, we're looking at their grades, we're pulling their transcripts, we're meeting with the counselors, and really honestly trying to come up with the best fit. Because granted, a lot of them are failing in school. So we tend to try to focus on what is it that they want? What is it that they want from school? What is your direction you want to go in? Everybody may not be necessarily good at math, but you may be good at, your hands. Um, Auto mechanics. We've had a lot of kids to go into that direction because they are good with their hands. With woodwork, because I remember myself growing up in high school, those were options for students that may not have been just great, academically, but they were good with their hands. So we do focus on that with the CAP program, also with drug court as well, because we still do a full assessment of those kids and try to meet whatever need or gap they have in their lives. Um, Johannes, you can chime in anytime. That's cool.
Um, and with just general probation, not with the CAP or the Commitment Alternative Program and the Rebound, um, we as probation officers that are in the school, a lot of times we have to intervene because the parents are sometimes not available or not as easily accessible to come up to the school as we are. So we have to meet with the counselors and we have to meet with the school staff to try to say, okay, if this young man or this young lady is failing in these classes or not progressing in this area, we try to be creative and come up with different things as in the technology realm to see, okay, how can we continue to educate this kid, keep this kid stimulated, because if we keep this kid stimulated, then we can help keep them out of trouble. So there are times when we have to, of course, we have to get special permission to access like things like Chromebooks or things or technology things that will put this put this child in a different environment, but still in the learning environment to try to, of course, continue to redirect the behavior, but also to improve to improve the behavior. So if they are engaged with certain technology things, they are fully concentrated on what they're doing and not really with, I'll say, the general population and getting into trouble. So there are times when we as probation officers, we have to, our chief always challenges us to think outside of the box. There is no answer. Basically, there is no to any answer. She's not accepting no to any answer. So it's like, okay, what else can you do? What else can you do? No. What else can you do? There's something that we can do. And she always says there's something that can be done. And we as probation officers have to think outside of the box. We have to be creative. And so a lot of times that leads us back to the school, back to us advocating for our families and for our children, like, look, we need X, Y, and Z to help this child. If this child is expressing an interest in technology, then let's try to foster that. If this child is expressing an interest in math, let's try to foster that. If this child is expressing an interest in engineering, we have to foster that. And that has even resulted in us placing children inside of different schools that I'll say that focuses on those things. So we've had to basically re-enroll a child into a different school just to keep them engaged and stimulated.
Absolutely. And you all, that was a wonderful overview of just how you all are encouraging these students to stay focused and pursue something that they may not have naturally wanted to pursue. STEM careers, you know, especially with American kids, I mean, for whatever reason, and we'll get into this in a minute, they're just not interested. And we have to do all of these techniques, all of these things that you just mentioned, Yohance, and really getting them to remain encouraged and stay focused in that space through, as you said, providing them various technologies that they probably don't have access to. And then also really just putting them in a completely different environment where they're immersed in that space. That's awesome. Do you all also work with organizations that provide financial assistance in helping these kids go to schools?
We have, and we do. It's a lot of time it's case by case. So it just all depends on if if this organization has a grant or if they are willing to accept, we would say, pro bono cases. So it just all depends. Sometimes it's insurance based, and sometimes it's out of pocket. But we try to keep those costs very minimal to the families. So we try to look for grants. We try to look for things that will other means of having the organization or having the child financed through whatever program. So it's case by case.
Absolutely. But that opportunity, once it presents itself, you all, as you said,
We jump on it.
you jump on it. It's one of those things where it's life or death. And
Yeah.
if, you know, I can only imagine if you all don't jump on it, then, you know, at times a student can truly, that's the decision factor. You know, students not being able to have the finances and the resources to attend school, to continue to pursue these STEM education. So that is awesome. And let's go a little deeper too. I want to understand from you all's daily observation of some of the students that maybe you all have had personal connections or contact with, but if you could share a time that was most impactful where you saw a student maybe not as interested in pursuing a STEM career, and then maybe you all assisting them and providing them some additional resources, and now where's that student and what is it looking like for their future?
You want me to go?
Go ahead. I know you got about 5.
A bunch of stuff. Hey, share a couple of them.
My most, I'll say, fulfilling encounter was years ago. I was placed at a particular school, and I had this young man, had long dreadlocks. He was never in class. A lot of times as probation officers, what are the things we would do? We would walk the halls just to make sure that our students, and not just our students, but students in general, were where they're supposed to be. And so this young man was in the hall more than I was. And so we had so many issues running in with he and me, him and his mom. They didn't get along. And I was always encouraging him to attend class, go to class, go to class, go to class. And so I stayed on him. And so he got off probation and we kind of lost touch. Well, about almost maybe a year and a half ago, it was in December. I remember it was in December. he came up to the office. They said, someone's here to see you. And I said, I don't have any appointments today. So, you know, who is it? And he stood at my door and I looked and I was just like, who are you? And so he told me who he was. And as soon as he said his name, I was like, I know exactly who you are. He had cut off his dreadlocks. So he looked a little different. And it's been years since I've seen him. And he told me, it was in December, he said, I'm graduating from college in May with a degree in engineering, electrical engineering. And I would like for you to be there. And so I talked to Chief Dean. I got up in May, I think it was like May 16th. Got up early that morning. He went to Benedict College. I drove to Benedict College and I went to his graduation. And when he came out of the gate, when they processioned out of the gate, the first person he saw was me. And he was just like, I can't believe you came. I said, well, you shocked me from where I knew you were in high school to where you are now. And you graduated with honors. So it was no question I was going to be here. So that was the most impactful thing now. And he's now, he graduated in May, so it was a little over a year ago with honors. He enrolled into the military. So he's an officer in the military in electrical engineering. And it was funny because about a month ago, I guess because of COVID and all of the stuff that they were going through in the military, that we lost contact. But he texted me about a month ago and said, I'm just checking in. I'm doing fine. I'm just checking in. And he gave me his new contact information. So we kind of keep in contact. So that was the most impactful thing. And it falls right along the lines of your program, the STEM program, because he is an electrical engineer in the military now. So he's doing well. He's doing well. And I'm very proud of him. I mean, that was, I felt like a proud parent.
Absolutely.
And wow. One of the things he said, he said, I remember you always telling me to go to class. And he said, one day it just clicked. I just got it together.
I know he remembered that one. Go to class. Oh, wow. Wow. We need to meet this gentleman. That's awesome. Wow. Wow. What about you, Chief Dean?
Oh my goodness. Just working, I guess you could say, with drug court, because it's so involved and we're in those kids' lives pretty much 24/7, all day, every day. And like I say, we're assessing them, we're seeing what they like, what they enjoy. But we've had many kids, I would say since 2003, when we started drug court, that, they graduate, they do get off the drugs, they do go into careers. We also had one that got his GED. At that moment, a lot of times the military wasn't still accepting the GED, but this particular kid worked really hard along with the program, and he did get in his GED and got into the military, and also got into a career of math and science. And these are things that we knew that the kid had it in him, but you just never know until they actually go out there and do it on their own when they make their mind up. So we've had many of those stories. I'm not going to sit here and say, look, they all went into a STEM type, career, but success is success for us if we can get them redirected. But once we find out what they like and what they enjoy, we go in that direction. So, yeah.
And I know you all feel so rewarded every day.
Well, like Yohance, I mean, the thing is, sometimes when they come back and see me, it makes me feel really old, because
me too. I can officially say that.
Because you're having them when they're 16, and then I have one standing in my door and he's like 29, 30 years old. He's like, I'm just stopping by. I wanted you to meet my kids. So we have those type stories. So yes, ultimately in the end, we know we can't help every kid, but those that we truly impact, they come back. They do stay in touch, and they let us know what's going on. So we can say, yeah,
Well, I could definitely sit on here and go deeper with you all and find out more of these amazing stories about how you all are helping to change lives. Thank you all so much for giving us some information. We talked about two programs that support STEM education with the DeKalb County juvenile court system, one being the commitment alternative program, and then the second being the drug court program. We also discussed some ways that you all are encouraging students. And I say some, and I mean some, because you all have a plethora of ways you all are encouraging these students. One, being creative and keeping the kids stimulated, assisting them in providing resources, especially with these technology resources that may or these students may or may not have access to. And then also just overall thinking outside of the box. And there's no does not exist in you all's language, and I think that that is fantastic. And then finally, we discussed some personal stories where you all were able to be most impacted and fulfilled in seeing these encounters with the youth, with these kids, and encouraging them to continue and pursue a career in STEM, but just overall success in their lives and continuing to pursue their education or whatever their passions are. That is amazing. I'm so inspired from the stories that you all shared. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.